Hello and welcome. This is Health and Wellbeing. I am Lois Abasambu. Sexual and gender-based violence has been an unending topic which has constantly drawn attention and interventions from various parties both locally and globally, bringing shame, stigma, and a barrage of mental instability to victims. Sexual and gender-based violence is the most pervasive yet least visible human rights violation in the world. Bothered about the growing rate of sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, I visited the Dorothy Njamanzi Foundation Safe House, where victims of sexual and gender-based violence are temporarily accommodated and protected against their predators. They share their experiences and their hope for the future.
I regret all my life. I said I wish I should have been sleeping on the streets, begging God for help. I know He would have given me the help, the right help, instead of just going my way, like just accepting a man to help me. Yeah, I want separation, but in my condition, my pregnancy condition, I'm still having the fear in me, scared. How will I go? How will I survive it all through? How will I survive it during childbirth?
So I was actually walking throughout the night. So in the morning, it was like, and he has the attitude of you walking and he'll tell you, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Please give me few minutes. Let me just round up. The client is already outside waiting to pick up the order. Before I knew there was, "Hoy, this is gas, this is me with my big tummy." He slapped me, dragged me to the room, beat me up with the pregnancy. Thank God to my neighbor that had me shouting. It was that guy that helped me out. That said, Oga, why are you beating this woman with pregnancy? Now, this is bad. It's not that maybe you will give me money. Once he noticed that I'm working throughout that month, he won't give you anything. The only thing you will hear from him is that, Shebi, you are working. What do you need money for?
My uncle, who has been molesting me and raping me for a number of 7 years.
And I saw him standing on the parlor. And I stretched my hand to give me the money for the drugs. And I hold my hand and pushed me on the chair and I shouted. So I shouted and I covered my mouth. When he covered my mouth, and I tore my pants. As he tore my pants and I raped me. And I wonder that if he hear it, anybody's mouth, as my mommy and my daddy is not around, that he will come inside and kill me. Nobody will know.
These are the voices of various women and girls who have been abused by intimate and trusted people in their lives. During my visit to the Dorothy Njamanzi Foundation Safe House, I further understood that feeding this monster is the great imbalance between genders.
We got married 2014, February 22. So I think a few weeks later, I was buying water. In my area, we do buy water because we don't have access to free water. So I was trying to attend to the Mayura that was selling the water to me. So I think my husband now called. He was in the toilet and he has this attitude of, you want to use the restroom. You're supposed to go in with a bucket of water, knowing fully well that we don't have water. So I was actually buying water. He now called me, babe, bring water for me. And I told him, please, I'm busy. So the next day, are you mad? I said, So those things were so strange to me because of water. And the way we grew up, my dad, my siblings, they are guys, they actually do everything on their own without we ladies helping them out. So suddenly I just saw him with his boxers halfway. He just came out and he slapped me in the presence of the Aboki. The Aboki guy too was even shocked that, what happened? So we had an argument before that and all that, the beating. So I was thinking maybe because of what I did, that was what arose the beating. I let that one go. So a few months I was pregnant of my daughter. I actually had my son before we got married. I had my son 2012, but I didn't pack him. So I was staying back in my father's house till we did the right thing. And that was 2 years later. That was 2014. So a few months I was heavily pregnant of my second child. I had an order to work with overnight. I had the wedding, I had small jobs, so nobody to help me. There was a lady that was actually staying with me. So she was my school daughter then. So she was an orphan. So I just took her in from school. That let her just say if there's anything I'm doing, she can also help out. And even if it's small change, I can give her. We're actually living in a one-bedroom. A room self-contained since we just started. So I was actually working throughout the night. So in the morning, it was like, and he has the attitude of you walking and he'll tell you, I'm hungry. Please give me few minutes. Let me just round up. The client is already outside waiting to pick up the order. Before I knew there was, this is gas, this is me with my big tummy. He slapped me, dragged me to the room, beat me up with the pregnancy. Thank God to my neighbor that had me shouting. It was that guy that helped me out. That said, Oga, why are you beating this woman with pregnancy? That this is bad. It's not that maybe you will give me money. Once he noticed that I'm working throughout that month, he won't give you anything. The only thing you will hear from him is that, Shebi, you are working. What do you need money for? You are working. You should be able to settle your family. You are working. You're supposed to do all this and all that. Why are you not even buying water in the house? Why are you not doing this in the house? So those are the, and sometimes they will insult you, do different things and all that. So aside that, there was another year, some few months later, that I started working in Waldmart in one shopping mall in Area 1 because I realized that it doesn't, meet up with responsibility. It doesn't even care whether you're living fine or not. Sometimes you sleep out, you won't come home. When you ask him what happened, any small argument is sharp beating, slap you, beat me. But he has never beat me to the extent that maybe I'll have body injury because I usually defend myself or I've run out to seek help, or sometimes people will come around to help me. So I got back from work that day. My brother-in-law was staying with us that year. So I think I did a decoration before going to work. I was expecting him to help me stand, to present the cake and help me pack up. It was his friends and my brother-in-law that was helping. So when I got back, I was like, you are just in that garden, you cannot even help me. What is all that? Are we not going to spend this money? And he was holding a pot. Before I knew it, I was on the bed. He used that pot to hit me. So the brother was like, why? This is your wife. Before we knew, both myself, the brother, he beat us both together and he sent us. So we had to sleep in a friend's house. Around 4 the next morning, he still came over to that man's house to beat me up in the compound. The compound is a very big compound. Beat me up. It was people. In fact, people were trying to even, I was wearing a singlet. He almost naked me outside. So people should drag me out. So I had to run to my parents' house. I was staying there. Started begging again. I still came back. Last year, it's been over a year plus that he refused to sleep at home. I don't know where he was sleeping. I will ask him, where are you sleeping? There are several times he will come to my shop, insult me, close the shop, beat me in the presence of people, insult me, shout. I will rush home. That's okay, let me just avoid all this. Most of the time, if he's trying to correct the children, because the way he beats all my children, I don't really like it. He beats them as if he's beating an adult. I have a picture of the way he beats my first son. So many times you collect my phone and delete them if he noticed. But this last one before he came, he was not able to get it. So I still have the evidence of him beating my first son because all the marks, the slap, you will see it on his face. That's the way he beats. This one, he beats me to the end that he tore my cloth, locked me inside. I was even shouting, wait. Thank God my children were not at home. They were in my uncle's place. I wanted to run outside. The next thing was that he just dragged me, threw me out, locked up the door, started beating me. All the old clothes I was wearing, till my pants, everything, he tore it off. So the neighbors were trying to, open the door because it was an iron door. They were not able to until he satisfied himself. That was when he opened the door. So I had to run out. I was not even wearing bra that day. I went to my uncle's place to just stay till midnight so that I can go to my dad's place. So when I get to my dad's place, I spent like a month before coming back again. So I had to come back because of my children, because they keep asking of their dad and all that. And that has been the relationship that I find myself beating, and all that, abuses and all that, and he's not responsible. He doesn't take care of I'm the one responsible for children's school fees. I pay the children's school fees. I take care of the welfare.
September last year, around 4 o'clock, when my mommy and my daddy, they went to church. So me, I'm preparing for church. As I was preparing for church, and I hear knock on our door. My mommy, then I go to church, only me is at home. Me, I was preparing for church because it's me that is locking the door. So I was not preparing, and I go to the passage door to lock up the door. And I hear somebody knocking, and I say yes. And I say his name is Papa Robo, and I say Papa Robo. And I tell him that me, I'm preparing for church. And I say okay. He wants me to help him to buy drugs, and I said, let him bring the money. When I'm coming back from church, I will help him to buy it and come and give him. And I said, okay, and I left me, and I left his side. Follow the passage door, come to the parlor to pick up my Bible. And I saw him standing on the parlor. And I stretched my hand to give me the money for the drugs. And I hold my hand and pushed me on the chair, and I shouted. So I shouted, and I covered my mouth. When they covered my mouth, and I tore my pants, as I tore my pants, and I raped me. And I wonder that if you hear it, anybody's mouth, as my mommy and my daddy is not around, that he will come inside and kill me, nobody will know. When my daddy come back, my mommy come back in the evening time, church, I cannot go to church again. So my mom, and I told my mommy, my dad now come back from work, and I told my daddy too. On Sunday, my daddy now went to go and call police. They now arrest him, and when they arrest him, immediately they now take me out of that compound. So they now went to go and rent one room for me and my mommy and our last born. So when I delivered there, is our church member that called the Dorative intervention. So when they now call them, they now bring us here that the night. My sisters and my brothers, they are not going to school. Even me, I'm not going to school, and my baby. The man is looking for me and my baby too. Okay, that's why we come to this place. When I was 1 month pregnancy, there's no blood in my body. My daddy now take me to hospital. So they now said that they need to put blood in my body. They now donate the blood. They now put it in my body. So when I want to deliver, they now say that I cannot deliver with my body. They need to do me operation. So and that time is when they say lockdown, when they say nobody should go out. So my daddy now, they now say, my mom have already buy all the deliver pack, something, normal deliver. So they now say that I cannot deliver without operation. So is how I just shouted, I want to poo-poo, I want to poo-poo. And I said it's not poo-poo, it's the baby. And I delivered the baby. When I had my baby, I was feeling bad. I was feeling bad because of when as I was starting, I was supposed to not giving birth. I was supposed to be in school. I'm here taking care of baby. Later, my mom now told me that when the baby is crying, I will not answer the baby. I will go one side and sit down and crying. My mom will now come in that this baby is a destiny child. Let me go and attend to the baby. Since then, and I start liking the baby. I want to let me and my siblings go back to school and my baby go back to school. I want to be a doctor, medical doctor. I want to save people's life.
On this day, on the 27th of December, I came back from where I went to. I came back around 9 p.m. in the night. Then my uncle was like, out of jealousy, because he felt like me having friends would maybe make me report him or something. So he said I should leave his house. So he pushed me out of the house around 11 p.m. that night, collected my slippers, my phone, my bag, and then transferred the last money in my account so that I will not get, because I was saving that money to get accommodation. So I transferred the money from my account. I confided on to a friend. He told me about DNF and contacted the office. Then they came to my rescue. In December 2020, they gave me shelter to stay. And they arrested my uncle, who has been molesting me and raping me for 7 years, since when I was 15. So I had complained to his siblings, my uncles, my other uncles and aunts, his senior ones. I told them what their brother was doing, and they decided to settle it in a family way and sweep it under the carpet. So I felt bad if I would tell my family member what their brother, their so-called family member was doing, and they didn't do anything. Is he a friend? Because I've told friends too, they laughed at me. So I had to keep quiet and maybe come out. I said to myself that I will come out from this by my own, on my own. I would not confide on anybody because I don't trust anybody. I have trust issues. So that was why I kept quiet for that long. The reason why I endured for that long because I didn't have anywhere to stay. So if there was a shelter, it wouldn't have taken that long. Staying in the shelter has not been easy because it has kept me from the society. Like I can't really express myself the way I could because of trying to hide or something from somebody that wants to harm me or so.
I'm a 19-year-old survivor. I've been raped twice, first in 2017 and then second in 2020 during the lockdown. I have a child from one of the second rape. So the first case was handled by the police. It's still in court since 2018. The second case has not been touched by an active from 2020 till now. I was raped. The first rape, I was raped by my mom's shop manager. Sent me to get change. Coming back, the car was by the road. I entered in. He told me to come inside, and then that he wanted to tell me something because like our relationship, it was very. I felt safe entering. He came over me, raped me, and then brought his substance, and then threatened that if I tell anybody that I just saw what he did, that I was going to die. I did not say anything till the following year, where I went for church camp at Orozo, and then an evangelist prayed for me and then asked me what was wrong. I told him, and then that was how I got to speak about it. Then I told my mom when I got home. We reported the case that day to went to FCD police station Kubwa. From 4 months of my pregnancy, my dad kept on chasing me out of the house in the midnight. He just wake up and chase me out. The anger that he has from my mom, he started pouring it on me. And then when I left, he started with my sister, so it was too much to take in, so I just had to like be away. So I had to drop out of school because if my school had found out that I was pregnant, they will surely expel me and then they'll add it to my record that, do you understand, that's a criminal record, and I did not want it, so I had to like just drop out. But then I went for an advocacy visit to the Minister of Women Affairs, the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission against the expulsion of pregnant girls from school. I just hope that made an impact.
My husband violated me. Not really my husband, but we're planning to get married. We've been together, and he has been violating me for a very long time. It was accommodation issue that brought me to his side. He helped me then. I was stranded, so he helped me. It was the only opportunity I have then. I didn't really like it. So I just like, okay, I'll just stay a while. Then I'll work and save money and stay on my own till pregnancy came in. And because I have kids for him, it makes it difficult for me to separate with him. I run a salon. I have a worker in my shop, and she had accommodation issue, and she has a baby in her hand. She pleaded that she wants to sleep in my shop. So, and I considered it like, how can she come and be sleeping in the shop with a baby? So I decided to loan her money. So my husband now heard it. I now say, so you loan 35K to somebody. So you have that kind of money, and I'm looking for money. He started saying all manner of things, insulting me. I'm not a wife material, the wedding is cancelled, that he's not going to, I'm an animal. That was about around 9 p.m. in the night. From that 1 a.m. till 6 a.m., that is how this guy beat me, series of slaps. Even when I tried to escape, he ran after me, dragged me back, was dragging me on the floor like a dead animal. Ha!
The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes revealed that globally, an estimated 47,000 women and girls worldwide were killed by their intimate partners or other family members in 2020, translating to an average of one woman or girl killed by someone in her own family every 11 minutes. The gross manifestations of gender imbalance in the society reveals itself in the killing of women and girls at the hands of intimate partners. Dorothy Njemanze is the executive director of the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation, a non-governmental organization that offers real-time support to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, equipping them with the right medical, police, legal, and psychosocial supports they need.
Are you a woman in distress? Are you a girl in distress? That pretty much qualifies you to be in the safe house. What is the background to the story? If you're a minor, we notify law enforcement of what it is. You know, if you're not a minor, you're an adult and you're capable of taking the decisions yourself. However, still, notification of law enforcement to ensure that law enforcement is carried along, because law enforcement also refers people who are in need of a safe place, who originally reported cases to them, to us. Other government agencies like the National Human Rights Commission, the Social Development Secretariat, refer people in need of safe spaces to us. And so we're happy to be there to provide that safety net that helps reduce exposure to trauma for people who are already victims of sexual and gender-based violence or potential victims of sexual and gender-based violence.
Dr. Alexander Agara is a clinical psychologist with the General Hospital Karu, and he explains the relationship between gender equality and domestic violence, which is one of the major reasons women constantly stay in abusive relationships.
In abusive relationships, there are three major things that probably keep individuals to stick to the relationship. Sometimes there could be pure love for the individual. Someone who has 100% love to someone finds it difficult to leave an abusive relationship. There could be some financial benefits and other forms of benefits the person enjoys from the other person. So the person thinks that when I leave this relationship, despite the abuse, then I would lose all these benefits, So, and then for some others again, there's probably someone is holding something against you, maybe a secret, something about you, that when you leave, the person will threaten you that, okay, if you leave me, I'm going to leak out the secret. So for that reason, that person finds it difficult to leave, and then they stick onto that relationship. In modern times, it has become a very difficult thing. In the past, our mothers mostly would not want to leave a marriage, especially because they would say because of the children. Now, of course, we know that children suffer the most, when they live with single parents. Now, the moment there's a separation or divorce, the child suffers it most because the person misses the other form of parenting, whether mother figure or father figure. So in most cases, the mothers find it difficult to leave that relationship because my children are going to suffer. For that reason, they want to stick to the marriage no matter what, even if they're being hurt or physically abused.
Let's look at the realities of things. Many of the people who are in the situations of sexual and gender-based violence are already victims of the gender gap occasioned by the patriarchal ideologies, in the society that we live in. And what does that translate to? So you have so many situations where men tell their women to prove that the women are in love with them and drop their means of livelihood to be totally dependent on the men as a strategy to control the women, right? Now, the law recognizes this, and when I say the law, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act recognizes this as forced financial dependence, which is criminal. So, with people in that situation, if there's violence done to them, they already don't have a fallback plans for means of livelihood because they are totally dependent on their abusers. They need support from a completely independent source, a different source independent of their abusers.
Getting justice for victims of sexual and gender-based violence seems to be a Herculean task, as the judicial process for getting justice keeps such cases for years in court.
So first of all, a lot of people don't respect the work we do. And then we have a lot of hostility from law enforcement because primarily before now, the terrain had favored perpetrators. The terrain, and let's not forget the amount of corruption that exists, right? And why did I say the terrain favored perpetrators? All that needed to be done was, for a case to be reported, then the perpetrator looks for as much money as possible to quell the case. And then it becomes business as usual again for the perpetrator. But for the survivor, who most likely does not have a means of livelihood, is dependent on the perpetrator, or has lost everything because of everything or some things because of the violence the person has been exposed to, the person is expected to pay for file. The person is expected to pay for the police to go and invite the perpetrator or to make an arrest. The person is supposed to pay for the police to visit the crime scene as one of the primary activities to be carried out during an investigation. The person is supposed to pay police for printing the reports, typing a report, printing reports, transporting whatever transferring to legal, then now pay police prosecutors for appearing in court. Every time the prosecutors appear in court, which usually is an average of 5,000 naira per appearance. And now that fuel has become scarce, it has gone up. So, yeah, these are the different things, right? And it's easy for corruption to be infused into this. So everything becomes, money driven. And this accounts for the very high cost of accessing justice, in the event of sexual and gender-based violations.
Then the police officers, they were like, you're a stupid girl, you're a this, if not that you like what happened to you, why did you not talk? See how you just use your hand to spoil this sweet case. But they are going to go and bring him and shake him, that's collect money, so he will feel like something happened. And then my mom is like, in my front, you want to shake who? And then somebody gave her Dirty Jimazi's hotline that even if she does anything, it's still going to be against her. When the case finally went to court, police were the prosecutor in court. And then one of them, the lawyer, my lawyer, was making advances at Miss Dorothy. And then because she did not agree, he tried to spoil the case, kept on making different mistakes on the court document. The judge kept on adjourning just to give him time to correct everything, but he kept on doing the same thing. He will call us and say that we should drop the case, that the law is blind. He will go in car of the perpetrator he will collect money from us and then go with the perpetrator back home. That's how it was till our judge, retired. So they moved it to Kuwa High Court and we're still on it.
Okay, so earlier this year, we had an incident. I won't want to go into the details, but we had police officers come into the shelter, even when we told them that this is a safe space, you have trauma, you have victims, you have survivors, who have survived some form of trauma or the other. They didn't listen. We had over 7 policemen holding guns, marched into the shelter, opened every room, opened every wardrobe, checked all the toilets, and then we had them questioning our clients. I find that very disturbing because these are people who are trying to, heal from one form of trauma or the other, and then you are coming in, asking them questions, that would mean that they have to go into their thoughts and think about everything that happened. So it's like you are re-traumatizing them. So it wasn't a funny experience. And then the next day we had to go to the police station. It was a hostile environment. You could practically see these police officers were hostile. We were made to take pictures. They took pictures of us. And then when we left the police station, we went to the Nigerian Human Rights Commission. And then these policemen were also there. They made references to the fact that how can we say we are running an NGO? How can we want to take care of children when we don't have children of our own? How is it our business? Instead of us to, get married, we are busy, stuff like that. It was traumatic. Speaking for myself personally, I'm still trying to get out of the trauma. Sometimes I wake up and I'm frightened. I remember the next morning after the incident that saw the policemen coming into the shelter, I woke up around 4 and I was shaking, so I've had to deal with PTSD. I've had to deal with anxiety.
So as a caregiver to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, one of the biggest things we consistently militate against is hostility. So from the funding terrains, there's a lot of hostility. Our realities as first responders are not captured or are not recognized in so many spaces. We are constantly, during the lockdown, I was arrested for impersonating first responders, simply because the first responders that the Nigerian police recognizes are police, doctors, nurses. They don't recognize, responders to sexual and gender-based violence. And let's remember that there were publications at the time where police was advising people to minimize visits to police stations because of COVID. But there was also the pandemic within the pandemic, which is sexual and gender-based violence, and we were the ones responding to that. So how are we not first responders?
Beyond physical symptoms, sexual and gender-based violence affects survivors on many personal, social, spiritual, and mental levels, impacting their ability to connect to themselves, others, and the world around them. However, the Dorothy Njamanze Foundation has been able to integrate a peer mentoring healing process for survivors, where other survivors are able to help the newly accommodated survivors in their healing process.
The most fulfilling part of my job is knowing that I'm making a difference. Somehow I've also been a victim of, sexual violence, and I knew how it was for me. I was very little when it happened, and the people I was staying with in their house where it happened, I told them and they shut me up. So flowing from that, I can actually relate with what other people are going through, and knowing that even if my contribution is little, I'm doing something to help.
I offered to work with them because of the passion, so that others will not go through what I passed through. I feel their pain. I know, at least to some extent, how it feels to be in their shoes, because during those times, the period of 7 years, I know the kind of what I passed through, if I had help at that time, support, and at least somebody to listen to me without judging me, because I would have been grateful.
I intern under the Case Management and Shelter Administrative Unit of Dorothy Njemandi Foundation. The fact where like when I went to court last week, I'm like, how do you like go through all this stress just to get justice? Do you understand? So you see, like, people, it happened, but then people don't believe them. So me being in this space, I like just giving that feeling to them that, oh yes, I believe you. Do you understand? I believe that yes, it happened, and then you talking about it doesn't make you a fool, but then people get to learn from your story.
Those people that have experienced any form of abuse and have taken themselves to the safe house, what are they doing recently or presently for themselves? Of course, it's like a safe ground for them. So what they do is they are able to reach out to people. So all they will have to do is like keep campaigning against violence and abuse and any form of abuse. Now, unless they do that, people wouldn't know, because someone who is facing some form of abuse might find it difficult to own up and say, I am facing this abuse. But if they probably do more of awareness and these people get to understand, there are more chances that they would, of course, go in to get that help.
Managing a safe house is a big deal. Ms. Dorothy Njamanze says lack of funding greatly limits the number of survivors they can accommodate at a time.
There's a limit to what we can take on, right? Considering the huge deficit of funding that we're exposed to. So in so many cases, we cannot take on every case. We can maybe just give directions of what people can do and also refer them to partner organizations. But even the partner organizations are going through the same things we are going through. So we've gotten situations so many times where there was a lot of hostility because clients were offended that we could not take on their cases. In so many cases, their offense was stemmed at the fact that they had watched us take on other people's cases and seen how remarkable progress had been made, and so it's just some kind of extended aggression or transferred aggression. But there's nothing that we can do about it. You know, we're limited by funds. We're limited by funds. If we don't have funds to pay for medicals, there's nothing we can do about it. If we're to peg an average sum to what we think from experience it takes to resettle or restart somebody, you know, to relaunch somebody into society after exposure to sexual and gender-based violence, in all honesty, it's not less than $500,000 naira. That's 500,000 naira. Why do we say so? Let's assume we pay for one room with 250,000 naira to 300,000 naira, you know, depending on the location of the place. And then you now get to pay for agency. You put in the basic things, a mattress, you know, curtains, cooking utensils in the place. And you struggle to have 100,000 naira left for the person to start a small scale business. Truth be told, how many small scale businesses really do we, you know, do with 100,000 naira?
We've had challenges with providing food. We've had challenges with providing basic amenities. It's a lot of work having to wake up every morning and you're thinking, okay, what are we going to make this morning? How are we going to, you know, feed the children? How are we going to keep everybody comfortable? So I feel like if we have a lot of resources on our hands, it will make our work much, much easier.
There should be a victim support fund that exists to encourage more women to take that bold step and leave their abusers. You know, a lot of women are stuck with their abusers because the government has not set in place systems to ensure that should they speak up, there's help, practical help, I mean. But by and large, Given an opportunity, will I do a different thing? Absolutely not. I will continue to do what I do. I am happy that we've been able to build the capacity of many people and encourage people to own their stories and own their stories with pride. And by so doing, we've been able to correct a lot of erroneous narratives where we have people say, the person is a victim of rape, so they will not want to talk. They will not want to be seen outside. They say, lie. We are victims of rape. Yes, we want to talk. We want to be heard for what we are saying.
Gender-based violence greatly undermines the health, dignity, security, and autonomy of its victims. Yet, it remains shrouded in a culture of silence. In order to break this dangerous culture, it is important that this topic is normalized so that victims can speak up and break free from such bondage. So if you see something, please do say something. That's how far we can go on the program today. Keep it to date with us same time next week. I am Lois. Abusive. Do stay safe.